I'm Andy with Competitive Cyclist, and this is my shootout of two of our most popular gravel tires, the Maxxis Rambler and Pirelli's Cinturato. To say there's a truckload of tire options for your gravel bike would be the understatement of the year. Every big tire brand has secured a spot on the bandwagon, and weeding through the mess of widths, tread patterns, rubber compounds, and protective casings has become increasingly difficult. Case in point, a simple search for gravel tires on our website yields 125 results. And when you scroll through all 125, they're not that different visually. The prevailing tread pattern has widely spaced knobs on the side and a tight tread pattern in the middle for low rolling resistance at high speed. Makes sense, that's the spirit of gravel. Go as fast as you can in a straight line and then pray for grip in the corners because your bike is fully rigid and you're counting on the tires to keep you upright. So, it's important to choose the right one. And in my experience, there's really not one perfect tire for gravel. The perfect tire really comes down to where you're riding it and what the conditions are like on that ride or that course. Does that mean you have to get 10 different sets of tires? No, not really. After decades of both mountain bike and gravel racing, I've discovered that you can get away with really two basic tire profiles. Something knobby that sheds mud but still rolls fast, and a low tread tire with a sticky compound and decent side knobs. And that's what we have here. The Pirelli is a fast knobby and the Maxxis is a great low tread, low rolling resistance all-rounder. The Rambler is Maxxis' most popular gravel tire, and I tested the 40C version with EXO and Silk Shield protection. What does all that mean? Well, tubeless tires all have basically the same design. The inside layer is typically a durable and airtight rubber, and there are a few more layers as you go up and out toward the tread. EXO is a sidewall protector they use in almost all of their tires. It's just underneath the surface layer. But the Silk Shield is a bead-to-bead protector that lies closest to the last soft inside layer of the tire. So you essentially get double the flat protection with this version of the Rambler. And let's not gloss over that. Puncture resistance is everything with tubeless gravel tires. Plugs are great, but not for sidewall tears. And getting a tubeless tire seated in the middle of a race with an emergency inner tube can be a nightmare. As an aside, the tread pattern on the Rambler is very reminiscent of the old Maxxis Crossmark, which is one of my favorite all-time mountain bike tires. And if you look closely, you can see the DNA of that high-performing tread pattern in the Rambler. Pirelli's Cinturato is a tire that owes its name to a lineage of tires that go back to the 1950s. Cinturato is Italian for belted, which was derived from their innovative idea to place a robust fabric belt between the tire's tread and body. Like Maxxis, Pirelli is a giant global powerhouse who makes tires for multiple disciplines. And as a longtime F1 fan, I love seeing Pirelli finally cross over into our little world of bicycles. Now, if you look closely at the photos on our site, you may come away with the impression that this is kind of a beefy tire, but it really isn't. Yeah, it's more robust than the Rambler, especially on the sidewalls, but the depth of the center tread really isn't that different. You'll also notice the tread pattern in general is a little more widely spaced. But yeah, the side knobs are much bigger and placed higher up on the sidewall, giving it a more square profile. I installed these tires on nearly identical sets of Envy AR wheels and swapped those wheels back and forth between my carbon and titanium gravel bikes, which have fairly similar setups. Both of those wheel sets have 25mm internal rim widths that ballooned the tires from 40 up to 42. I weigh about 155 on a good day and typically ran them at about 30 psi. Pirelli claims a weight of 510 grams per tire. Mine measured to just under 490. The Ramblers came in about 30 grams heavier than advertised at 475 grams. It was also unseasonably wet and rainy for the first month of my testing, so we actually had some real live mud on our local trails and roads for a few weeks. And I'll go ahead and say it. The Ramblers were absolutely worthless in the mud. The Pirellis were the clear winner in wetter, nastier conditions, and because the tread's widely spaced, they shed that mud really well once I got back on the road. Once the mud had cleared, they were surprisingly quick and not at all sluggish at speed on the pavement. The square profile of the Cinturato means it's not awesome when cornering on the road, but the flip side is that it hooks up and it holds on when you push it through a loose or soft dirt corner. They're a fantastic choice for an all-day, all-dirt course or for a route that's 50% dirt or more, like Unbound, for example. The Ramblers definitely excelled in dry conditions, and they're without a doubt the faster tire on the road. For a course that's like 80% pavement, they're a clear choice because they're just damn quick on the road. They obviously corner better on the tarmac too, and they were okay in the loose stuff, but where they really excelled was at the more extreme lean angles. The lower side tread means you can actually apply a surprising, almost alarming amount of lean when cornering in the dirt. That was pretty cool, if I'm honest. As I alluded to before, these tires are kind of at two ends of the gravel tire spectrum, so it's tough to shoot them out as if they were on equal footing and designed for the same use cases. The Ramblers for dry conditions and the Cinturato is more of an all-rounder. But if you were to force me to choose just one, it'd probably be the Pirellis. Why? Because they're only 15 grams per tire heavier and you get extra beef on the tread, plus amazing dirt, mud, and debris clearance. If you've watched any of my reviews, you probably know that I've always defaulted in the direction of the all-rounder application anyway, so it's not a big surprise that I'd choose the Pirellis. So now let's sit down with Jess for a quick Q&A on these two amazing tires.
All right, thank you so much, Andy, for kind of covering those tires. I do have a few questions for you.
Okay.
First off, did you have any issues with punctures with either of these tires? And if so, would that make you choose one of them for a really chunky gravel course where there's a higher chance of flatting?
So the good news is, no, I didn't have any issues with punctures across 2 months of riding these on-road, off-road, on, I wouldn't say super chunky, but like hard pack dirt roads with sharp rocks sticking out. I did, slam into a couple of them and bottomed out a couple, but no issues with punctures. For me, I've always had great luck with Maxxis tires. Mm-hmm. So maybe if I thought, oh gosh, punctures may be an issue, I might default to Maxxis, but these both performed really well for the couple months that I had them.
Okay, awesome. Good to know. My next question is, for someone who can't put down as much power and is on the lighter side, would I want to run the Cinturatos to avoid the extra resistance?
Okay, so first, pedal harder and eat more pizza. No, not really. Yeah, I think that's a fair question. And if you're looking for marginal gains and maximizing the power you put into the tires, the Maxxis is hands down the faster tire on the pavement in the dirt. And I think as an added bonus, if you are lighter, you may not need as big and as chunky as a tread when you're on the dirt. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I don't know, my reasoning may be off there. Maybe you do need bigger knobs because you're lighter so that it'll give you more grip. I don't know. I'd love to hear people comment on what they've used to get grip as they're lighter.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm curious what people have to say.
If you're heavier and you do eat that large pizza, will you sink deeper into the dirt and get better grip? I have no idea.
Does one beat the other in super punchy climbs and descents?
I think the answer is it depends on the course, the conditions of the course, and like what do you consider punchy? How long is it? If it was dry, sandy, super steep, they're probably going to be about equal because really nothing's great in those, like you're on a 25% quick punchy thing, nothing's great. If it's wet, if it's the slightest bit muddy, do not use the Maxxis.
Okay.
I went through a lot of those exact scenarios, rode in like a super rutted out trail. The Maxxis just like slipped down into the rut and stuck down in the mud. I tried to pedal and they spun. Came back the next day and went through with the Cinturatos. They stayed on top of the rut. They didn't slide as much. And then when I did pop down into the rut and get into the mud, I was able to pedal right out because they just got a better tread.
Yeah, good to know. Well, alrighty, thanks for watching, guys. Let us know what you think about how weight can compare to how much tread or thickness of a tire you need. We're curious about that one.
I'd love to know.
And feel free to ask us any questions that you have in the comment section below, or reach out to one of our Gearheads. You can find out how to do that in our description. And if you liked this video, feel free to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for coming along with us. See you next time.